Florida, Opelika. This
great state, by the way.
Florida highway patrolman was in the middle of a pursuit, and he, the guy fled a traffic stop. And so he takes off and he's running code, which means lights and sirens. And he sees this car that's driving erratically. And he's like, that's my guy. And so our story begins as he's in the middle of a pursuit with said suspect. Roll the tape.
Video you'll see only on Local 10 of an FHP trooper stopping a speeding car only to discover it was being driven by another law enforcement officer.
Yeah, so he pits this guy.
Textbook use of the
and watch this. He turns his lights on.
Technique that are known as a pit maneuver, but they normally aren't used against other law enforcement officers.
Oh, I didn't see your lights.
Because they weren't on, sir.
This incident happened on November 29th. Florida Highway Patrol received reports of a car that fled a traffic stop and was driving recklessly. After a bit of driving and following directions from dispatch, the trooper recording this dash cam video gets behind a
I understand none of this,
Kia
by the way.
and begins to follow. They leave the 826 and continue eastbound on Northwest 167th Street before making a left turn to go north on Northwest 12th Avenue. Then, right as they approach
It's a beautiful pit.
Boulevard,
Oh, yeah.
It is textbook.
the Kia and performs the pit.
In the middle of the pit, he turns the lights on.
Watch carefully.
Yeah.
The driver of the Kia leans over and
Dude's in
turns
a
on
Kia.
his
He's got enough
own
problems.
red and blue light. Turns out it was the wrong car. Instead of
This
stopping,
reminds me of when I accidentally shot my flight lead a couple times.
It is a fratricide.
Air to air. It's like a blue on blue, and then I'm getting yelled at in the debrief. This is
Donut needs to cover this, Donut operator. But dude, so I've run code to a lot of stuff, and I've been around people running code, which means lights and sirens. People don't get out of the way typically, but they don't usually continue with your pursuit. Like if usually somebody in front of you that's driving like that, going to something, either has their lights on because they're going with you, or they're the bad guy. Typically, so I have many questions. One, was the captain part of the pursuit? In which case, where was he going? Because the Mercedes was long gone. They had already bit off on the wrong thing. So where was the captain going? Second was, did he not notice the car with lights and sirens on behind him? And did he not think, hey, I need to get out of the way? Because I've been not involved in something in a fully marked unit with my own lights and sirens, and I have yielded to emergency vehicles because you still have to obey the law. So what this then looks like is a dude that was driving erratically that just happened to be in the same area that as soon as the guy, because you can see on the dash cam video, you can see that he's driving like an asshole. Mm-hmm. And so the trooper's like, well, that's him. It's dark. I get it. Some of the Kias now look like Mercedes. Okay, fair enough. Although at some point he probably should have been like, hey, what am I actually chasing? But, it's that whole dog and rabbit thing, right? You see something running and you're like, that's the guy. So for me, I put more of the blame on the captain because interagency wise, and I don't know, Doug, if you remember this, 10-ish years ago, there was an FHP woman that pulled over marked, I think it was Dade County unit, because he was going to a detail at 120 miles an hour. And so she does the traffic stop and she arrests him. And they were like the FOP, or not the FOP, but the union was like threatening her. They were like sending stuff to her house and stuff because they were so mad that she had arrested another cop. South Florida's got Opelika, mid Florida area.
Opelika's in the middle of Miami.
Yeah, South Florida. They've got issues with this. But to me, procedurally, if you're part of the pursuit, your lights need to be on. First of all, you can't be primary in an unmarked vehicle. I don't know of any agencies that will allow you to be the primary pursuit with an unmarked vehicle because of just this. So if he was part of the pursuit, he should have been yielding. If he wasn't part of the pursuit, he should have been yielding. And if he wasn't a dumbass, he should have been yielding. Like, there's no
Well-
reason not to yield in this case,
Dude, he went into the fight without squawking. I mean,
except he's oblivious.
that's what I'm
and-
saying.
Like, you can't, dude, you didn't check your mirrors once because that looks like he's fleeing. Like, when you're driving like
100%,
that,
yeah.
it looks like you're fleeing.
And he's like, I got caught. Let me turn these on. Chick, chick.
Yeah, I got caught. Let me turn these
Yeah.
on. And he had a vest on and stuff. Looked like he was going to something. He was just a captain. First of all, captains aren't going to pursuits. They're not going to that. He's not involved. He shows up. He's admin. He shows up like 2 hours later to, oh, yeah, hey, what do we got, guys? Like, there's no reason for that. He's just driving like an asshole.
I'm a total layman, dude, but it looks pretty suspect to me. Like, what were you doing, man?
Yeah. I don't know.
Cool video, though.